is there some sort of paradox that's hard to hold where maybe the things that are good for the country are actually not good for Bitcoin and its future prospects?
No, I don't think so. I think that eliminating fraud, waste, and abuse, which certainly Elon has done and will continue to do with Doge, is good for the American people, and I think it's also good for Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is different than the U.S. dollar, just as gold is different than the U.S. dollar. That being said, a strong U.S. dollar is, I think, in my personal opinion, is also good for Bitcoin. It's good for gold. Those things aren't mutually exclusive either. And so, yes, we should be cutting fraud, waste, and abuse in our government, ensuring that we have a strong U.S. dollar that the American people will benefit from. But then Bitcoin provides an avenue for them to protect their value in a completely different way, which is ultimately a good thing. And people have wanted to do that, as you noted, for thousands of years. And so, yeah, it is an interesting paradox, but it's one that I don't think is unsolvable in a sense of these two asset classes. One being a currency and another being a commodity can benefit together as both strengthen. I think that ultimately is the goal.
You're seeing White House advisor Bo Hines basically sitting here telling you that Bitcoin paired with the dollar is a strong partnership. And if you don't see what's going on with Bitcoin, then you got to be living under a rock. Stack harder. And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you with another cryptocurrency video. Getting straight into it, the current time it's recording, Bitcoin is coming in at 84.8K. The bigger question is, when will Bitcoin get this blast off? This is on the 4-hour. So you see here that Bitcoin has double bottomed out and blasted through that double bottom, had a melt back down, but then came back up. So a lot of volatility on the 4-hour. But if we just measure this move, have we hit this target already from the double bottom? We'll pull from the neckline and pull this down. It looks like we probably have already hit this target where we are up to right now, around the $84,000 threshold. That has been met. But look what happened. We have then came in and put in this pattern here. And this apex is around Tuesday, April 15th. So before the end of the day and tomorrow, Bitcoin should be making an explosive move. And look here, you come into this in a bullish pattern. This is some type of bull pennant that's forming. We're getting squeezed in this apex. Could we have a blast off, a breakout up to the upside? Where is the target? What should we be paying attention to? Well, look here, this blast off move, it could start from way back down here with this pull, and right here, where we could have the last bottom touch here, the lowest bottom touch, and where this would take us up to would be the $91,000 threshold. This actually could be pulled up to the breakout point and could come up to this macro horizontal resistance around $92,000, which is a major level to pay attention to. As you see, we fell through this, retested, retest, fail, retest, fail, and this has acted as support in previous months and months have passed. So you see this white line here, $91,900, $92,000 level is where this blast out could be taking us. Once again, zooming into this price action to see this bull pennant forming. Look at the RSI. The RSI has bottomed out, and we did see a bullish divergence on the RSI as well, and stair stepping our way up. We haven't got to the overbought territory yet, so there is a lot of room for this upside to play out. So 84.8 for Bitcoin. MicroStrategy strategy, the current time it's recording, after hours is around 310. It closed at 311. But what do we see for MicroStrategy? When can we anticipate a higher move? We'll incorporate the global M2 money supply into this chart and let you know what we see. So let's zoom in to this current price action. And as of right now, what do we see? What do we anticipate? We've showed you this in previous videos. We showed you this could be some type of inverse head and shoulders pattern with the neckline right here. We blasted out of it, came back down, had a back test today actually, and then we could get that bump and run to the upside with this target taking us all the way up to 367. So that's definitely a huge move to the upside in the weeks to come for MicroStrategy. How long can this parabolic move last? What is this blue line here for around the end of May, May 30th to be exact? Well, if we look at this global M2 money supply yellow line that's overlaid this chart, we can see back here when this bottomed out from the peak, what was the delay for MicroStrategy to when MicroStrategy bottomed out? We've seen it bottoming out roughly a little over 3 months, 97 days later. So look here, this blasted up, blasted down, and based out almost perfectly for 97 days. So if we keep this 97-day threshold, if we line this up right here where this first 254 bars stopped and pull this out another 254 bars, that would take us about right here, and that is around the 1st of June. So by the end of May, this massive move to the upside could play out for MicroStrategy. And look right here, the global M2 money supply is actually putting in a new all-time high. If we look back to the left, it is a new all-time high. So for MicroStrategy to be in new all-time high territory, if this is indicative to what's to come for MicroStrategy with this date overlay, so we got to get back above this 546 level by this time, the end of May. So could we see that? Is that what's in the cards? Could we see a parabolic move blast up to the upside? That seems pretty bullish, but as you see, when MicroStrategy moves, it moves straight up and to the right. So could we be getting ready to see this layover play out? Once again, looking at these all-time highs, these peaks to peaks, we can overlay this to see how many days it took for this to play out. About 51 days. So from where we are right now, this all-time high, and then 51 days almost coincides perfectly. So could we be seeing markets rip over the next month and a half? That could be what's in the cards. And Bitcoin versus gold, you're sitting here seeing that gold, the white line, is always the leading indicator of what's to come for Bitcoin. When the white line peaks, Bitcoin follows. The white line's put in new all-time highs, and Bitcoin has steadily followed, but right now gold is putting in new all-time highs. Could Bitcoin be ready to rip up to the upside? Be prepared. And as you know, Bitcoin has crushed everything in the S&P 500 over the past 14 years. A 7.2 million% gain for Bitcoin itself. Look what gold did. Over 100% gain. S&P over 300% gain. There's no comparison. What's the fastest horse in the race? And for those who don't know, Donald Trump met with Nayib Bukele today at the White House. And Nayib Bukele is the president of El Salvador. They've been buying 1 Bitcoin every day and are on a Bitcoin standard. They talked about some other things, but will some Bitcoin regulation happen sooner rather than later? While in the meeting, El Salvador continued to stack their Bitcoin stack, coming in at over 6,100 Bitcoin, buying 1 Bitcoin every single day. Are you still not bullish enough? So without further ado, let's hear from Anthony Pompliano, talking with Bo Hines, and get the latest from Bo and what his take is on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and what the White House is thinking. Let's hear from Bo.
We obviously have made it very clear that we want to acquire as much as we can get. I've said that repeatedly throughout my time on the speaking circuit over the course of the last few months. And look, at the end of the day, it stipulates that we have to acquire Bitcoin in budget-neutral ways that don't cost the taxpayer a dime. With that being said, I think that we have, as the president likes to say, many high IQ people working on these solutions, and we're going to have countless ideas on how we can accomplish this. And look, we have Secretary Lutnick at Commerce, we have Secretary Bessent at the Treasury, many other great actors inside the interagency working group, and we'll come together and flesh out some of these ideas and really get to the best solution. But we're very confident that we can do so, and we'll start doing that in short order.
Now, these ideas of acquiring more Bitcoin, I know that none of them have been decided on, but there are many that I think are somewhat obvious of, hey, you could revalue gold, sell it, move things over to Bitcoin. But I think that people drastically are underestimating maybe net new ideas. And so as you guys have been brainstorming, are there themes to things that you guys are thinking about? And, there's one thing to take American taxpayer dollars that are already somewhere within the U.S. government or on our balance sheet and kind of rearrange, right? Financial advisors all the time, they'll go and they'll rebalance their portfolio. That's kind of one whole theme. But then I've also seen Lutnick and others talk about this idea of, well, maybe there's external revenue that we can drive and be able to use that. And so how are you guys maybe from a framework standpoint thinking about, okay, what are the ways that we could go buy more Bitcoin?
Well, I think that Senator Lummis has really an interesting idea with the Bitcoin Act of 2025, which I know has taken the community by storm. But here, what you would do is you'd revalue the gold certificates that we currently have at Treasury. most of which are valued, I think, around like $43 an ounce, which is,
a lot lower than what it's really worth.
Correct. Yeah. So now we're sitting at what, $3,100 an ounce, with being the price of gold. And if you took that value, what you could do is use that extra funding in order to buy more Bitcoin that could be used for the reserve. But that's just one idea. And, that's currently circulating its way through Capitol Hill, and we'll see how many co-sponsors she can get and how she can pull her colleagues on board. But we're looking at many creative ways, whether it be from, tariffs, whether it be from something else. I mean, there's literally countless ways in which you can do this. And, I'll defer to, some of our members inside of the interagency working group to see what ideas they come up with inside of their own shops. But we'll look at everything. Everything's on the table. And like we've said, we want as much as we can get. So we're going to make sure that no stone is unturned as we start fleshing out some of these processes.